What's good, my monks and disciples? It is your master, ShaolinPretzels, and today I'll be reviewing the ButterboxHB from Buttercade. I'll be discussing all the pros, cons, and considerations that you must make when deciding to purchase this case. If you end up enjoying what I have to say in this review, be sure to like the video and click on the subscribe button so that way I know to keep reviewing more products like this. Now let's get started. Buttercade is a small arcade stick business that specializes in making 3D printed parts. One of their flagship products are the Butterboxes, which exist in two variants, a keycap version and an all-button variation. Today, we'll be focusing on the all-button variation, the ButterboxHB. The first thing you'll notice about the Butterbox is that it's very small. The top panel of the Butterbox shares the same Velux button layout as a conventional all-button controller, like the Hitbox. However, the Butterbox shaves off about 6 inches of the width of an official Hitbox. The 3D printed material used to make the enclosure results in a case that is both sturdy and lightweight. This makes the Butterbox a more ideal controller to travel with. Just slide it into your bag and you're good to go for your next tournament. Let's go back to talking about buttons and how these and other parts can be installed into this case. The top panel of the Butterbox supports 11 24mm buttons and one 30mm button. On the underside of the top panel are indentations for each button's snap-ins or nut if you're installing screw-on buttons, as I have here. These indentations make it easy to remove the buttons by hand or by using specialized tools like the layer shift button wrenches or Buttercade snap-out tools, which you can find in my list of modding tools in the description. I should also note that when installing the white Samduxa SBD 202s for this build, I had issues screwing on each succeeding button with the wrench I was using because the buttons were so closely spaced. However, I was able to firmly screw on the buttons the rest of the way with my hands. On the front side panel, the Butterbox provides a space for 4 24mm auxiliary buttons for start, select, and menu functions. The space for these buttons is caved into the front side panel to diminish the possibility of accidentally pressing them during an actual match. This minute detail makes the Butterbox very suitable for tournament play. The main body of the Butterbox provides mounts for the PCB motherboard and a Neutrik USB port with proper screw holes for both. For this build, I installed a Brook Retro board. The screws are positioned perfectly for Brook's motherboards, and once screwed in, the screws fit smoothly across the bottom surface of the Butterbox. A quick aside for those who wish to do a retro build as I have done here, the Brook Retro board uses a specialized Neutrik port design that does not optimally fit within the Butterbox's Neutrik slot. The Retro board's Neutrik is designed with a mechanism to eject an RJ45 Ethernet cable from the slot. In the Butterbox, this mechanism cannot be pushed fully, meaning you have to manually remove the cables yourself, which is not recommended. If you're installing a Neutrik for a standard removable USB cable, you won't have to worry about this. This is just something I wanted to mention for those who hope to attempt what I have done here. I wired every part of this build using a 20-pin quick connect harness. With the number of wires present, it was difficult for me to close the lid on the enclosure properly without forcing the lid. This might be due to the slight difference in height between Sanwa's buttons, which are the standard, and the Samduxa buttons that I chose to use for this build, which are a bit taller. When building with the Butterbox, I suggested you prioritize minimal wiring and reducing cable stress. If you're building with Sanwa buttons, I recommend picking up Sanwa's SW68 CAU switches and conversion harnesses, which are designed to reduce cable stress for smaller builds such as this. I will be sure to include links to both in the description below. One of my favorite parts about working with arcade sticks is the level of creative freedom you have with customizing them. Unfortunately, artwork opportunities for the Butterbox are minimal compared to other controllers on the market. The Butterbox lacks a top or bottom plexiglass to place full artwork under. If the buttons you install have transparent inserts, it is possible to slip some artwork under each of them, which could lead to some creative possibilities. However, one big aesthetic upside is that this is a 3D printed case, which means the potential colors for the enclosure itself are near limitless. Buttercade has multiple color offerings for the Butterbox, and can do a custom color upon request. Being able to choose the color for your enclosure gives the Butterbox an appeal that few other arcade sticks can offer. When in use, I find the textured surface of the Butterbox to be very comfortable. I find that the Butterbox fits comfortably in my lap and does not move around much on either my legs or on a table surface. I should note that I have a moderately sized hand, so if your hands are larger than most people's, you may find issues with the amount of surface area your hands will have to play on. This is a common critique with the traditional all-button Velux layout and could easily be amended if Buttercade offered an all 30mm button version of the Butterbox for people with large hands. At the time of this review, such a version does not exist, but as creative as Buttercade is, I wouldn't be surprised if they made one in the future. Overall, the Butterbox holds up as a perfect example of what a 3D printed arcade stick can be. Having once worked on 3D printed designs myself, I'm aware that all the cons addressed in this video could easily be amended by a simple redesign of the product and could very well have been solved by the time that this video has reached you. If you're looking for a simple, travel-ready arcade stick at an affordable price, you can't go wrong with the Butterbox. So what do you think? Will you be picking up a Butterbox for yourself? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to click on the subscribe button to become a disciple of the Salt Monastery. Be sure to keep the conversation going by joining our Discord server, which you can find in the description below. I also stream on Twitch as well at twitch.tv/ShaolinPretzels, so feel free to come by and hang out. I have been your master, ShaolinPretzels. As always, my monks and disciples, stay salty.